You're a hero, Brian.
Thank you.
Don't interrupt me ever.
Whoa now, Steven. Hey, I'm Brian. This is
Richard.
And this is SuperView, where we watch a movie separately and then come together to review it. Oh, shiznaps. It's Sanju with soju. Which soju is drink. It's like 24% alcohol with no taste before mixing. So he's gonna get sloshed. This is like my one, because I need to be sober when I make my move. That's too predatory. I'm not comfortable with it. I just realized I said I was going to get you really drunk and then make my first move. Yesterday, I worked a full shift on 4th of July, and then the day before that, I spent 15 and a half hours driving from Arlington, Texas to Chicago, and then I went and saw this movie, which was a 3-hour experience. So I'm still tired, and I had a full day today with Maddie, and we saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. Check it. So the movie that we saw was Sanju, which is a biopic based on the life of Sanjay Dutt. I barely know anything about him outside of the movie because I like going into movies, even if they're biopics, knowing as little as possible so that all my opinions can be based on the movie. If there's something that, like, you know about Sanjay Dutt, but I don't, after seeing the movie, it stands to reason to me that this movie didn't tell me that thing. It didn't deliver that knowledge, which is fine for a movie. Things get cut out. But it was called Sanju, so I assumed that this was like an unofficial biopic where they changed his name and they were like, we're going to call him Sanju. Everyone will know it's Sanjay Dutt. But then in the movie, they call him both Sanjay Dutt and Sanju, which was a little confusing for me. If anyone wants to say down below where the nickname Sanju comes out, but if you know, please say. So really quick before we get into the review, what did you think of it? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways?
Thumbs up. They somehow make 2-hour and 40-minute movies enjoyable. That's really hard. That is something you don't do with American films because...
You mean like the Indian film market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's actually... Like, that's a nice way to spend an evening, the way that your films are made. I have to compliment it. It's... In America, it's just like, this is gonna be an hour and a half of either crap or good or passable. And they try to cram a bunch of stuff into an hour and a half, and they try to format it. I went to a couple film classes, and they're like, this is a format film has to be in. The crowd just gets tired after an hour and a half.
And also, the longer it is, the more money you have to spend. That's because here, time is money. The longer the movie is, the more money is spent, lesser chance of profit being made. In the Indian film market, it's not... It is money, but they're willing to take the time to let a story breathe as long as it needs to be, and not cut out a huge portion just to make it a clip show, or make it short and consumable.
On YouTube, do they have anything against drinking on camera?
The last review made 4 cents. I'm not worried.
I thought we did good.
So let's talk about the story really quick. Did you go in blind? Did you know anything about Sanjay Dutt?
The most that I knew about the movie was on the outside of the movie house, you know?
Yeah.
Like, on the outside of the actual theater, not the building. It just gave a short description. I was like, oh, this is on Sanjay Dutt. And then I read a little bit on my phone during the previews, and I was like, oh, okay, this is Sanjay Dutt, okay.
Cool. What did you think of the story?
The story was really good. I kind of feel like it's really hard to rush, like, you know, let's just say, 30 years of his life.
Story.
Yeah. Into a movie. I read a little bit after the movie on it, and a lot of people were like, oh, he omitted this person, and he omitted someone else. And, I mean, yeah.
It's a long film.
Yeah. Yeah, but, and, even with that long of a film, they couldn't fit everybody in, It's difficult.
And I'm assuming it's based on the book, since it's an active ingredient in there. So how long must that book be? I will make one shot into the dark and predict or guess the one scene or sequence that you wish was in this film.
Why would I wish if anything was...
Oh, I'll tell you, and then you will immediately be like, yes, that totally sounds like me. You're not making a joke, and this is something I definitely thought was missing.
Okay, Brian, what did I want?
You wanted the 10 to 15 minute Wolf of Wall Street-esque sex montage showing his 350 partners, including the other extra prostitutes. Just because you were like, one line? Not okay. I didn't see him kiss anybody. I need that sex montage with drugs and craziness and Leonardo DiCaprio randomly coming in and be like, get it, Sanjay, what up? Also, I'll call you Sanju. And then he leaves.
They did a good job not to glorify that part.
That was the one thing. I was like, wait, he doesn't seem very promiscuous. Like, obviously, I believe that it's true. He starts the movie saying, should I include the prostitutes? No. We'll round up and say 350 just to be sure. And I'm like, wait, he really, one, does not seem very sexual in the movie at all. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just like, that was completely written out or not included, except for that one mention. And then, many times during the movie, someone could just talk to him and he could look and feel very emasculating and get closed down, which was something fascinating. I love that someone like his father could talk to him and he immediately retreats into himself like a broken child. But then he has this reputation at an older age of having had so much sex. If this was fiction and you were like, hey, James Bond, you know, to make the most popular, at least here, womanizer, as an example, and then you saw him like run into M and she's like, Bond, what did you... female M for life. Ray Fiennes is fine. He's Fiennes. Dad pun for the win. If she's like, Bond, what did you do? And he's like, what did I do? I won't smoke or drink anymore. Promise. It would be like, whoa. Even in the writer's room, they'd be like, come on, he's a sexy womanizer. He'd never take that from M. But real life is more complicated than that. So I liked that they added that. It didn't glorify his whole life. Some stuff was unsexy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when he was retreating into himself, he did that a lot, especially in his youth, you know? And it's like, it kind of seemed like that's the way that that's the message that he wanted to give, that's just how he grew up. That was his behavior, you know? And boy, did he act out. You know, after all that. At least
he said he did. Besides the drugs, if that's what you're talking about.
He kind of acted out as much as he could, it sounds like, you know?
What kind of acting out are you specifically referencing?
Drug binge, 350 women.
See, he tried bearing the lead. I knew it was about sex with you. Jeez, you're such a sinner.
But
the joke there is that he's not. Also, these are really egg yolks. We were just kidding.
Yep, we drink like Rocky. We're getting in shape. We're gonna start working out.
Did you say like Rocky because it's on the rocks?
No.
We're really making this video because he's an alcoholic and needs an intervention. Hey, buddy. How you doing? That was just water. I refilled it.
Yep. And I need a break from the 350 hookers that I slept with.
I'm just having it zoom in on my face right now because holy Jesus Christ, that's getting in the review. Yes, that was a great show.
I'm editing it, and then the source video that
I'm gonna re-edit it. I got it on my phone. I don't care. That is getting in there. Do you want to say your truth for your sexual experience so people like you? It can follow up immediately with that.
My dick fell off.
What the? That's not the truth.
I feel like we're going off the rails here.
I'll edit this out. We can edit this part out if you want, but I'm like, okay, he's making a lot of jokes, but the gentleman over here is a sweetheart and a virgin. So, not for the record for anyone wanting to hire you. He just said he had sex with 350 hookers. We can't hire him.
Hurry up and finish your drink.
Jeez, he always wants me to finish second. Maybe if you paid more attention to me, I'd have finished first. Oh my god. Sex puns.
It kind of just really seems like when people are addicted, you know, just emotionally and intellectually, they are not there They are not there in the situation. Like, he would wake up in the bathroom or whatever, and he will not know where he is, and he's just like, yeah, he was disconnected from everything, and he just wanted to get high. And that's all that he wanted to do. And that's all that he cared about.
That's a great point. That's like when he saw his mother open her eyes for the last time, but he was high, so he didn't know.
Yeah?
He couldn't tell if it was real or just the trip.
So many wake-up
Or
calls.
the climb.
Didn't he buy a bag of drugs? Was that a bag of drugs? It's like, I'm going to get clean, but give me some drugs. Like, is that what happened? Can you guys clarify for me in the comments?
But was there anything that stood out to you that really made an impact?
When Ruby has enough and she breaks it all off finally, that's a terrible situation for her. Holy crap.
That was
like, oh, hey, I just broke up with, like, my husband. My life was set. I broke up for you, and you're hooked again, you know? She runs off. Like, she must have felt horrible. He must have felt horrible. Like, I don't... Did they even say that he found out what happened? Because she tells Kamlesh, tell him that I never showed up, you know? I don't think they said that. I don't think they showed what happened with that.
Yeah, there was no resolution, which was very lifelike. Like, sometimes you just don't have resolution with people.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking. For me, in the second half, it started feeling a lot like Munich. Not a lot, but kind of. The Steven Spielberg film. But it felt very real and deliberate and just steady in its storytelling. And in the beginning, I love the visual flares of all the drugs and stuff. It was very visually enticing and kind of put you in his mindset. But it didn't continue because he actually quit the drugs, which was surprising and good for him. But then later on, when it's so... I don't know how to describe it. It just was reminding me of Munich, which actually happened to me when I was seeing Ron Gosling. I thought of E.T. While watching that film. But, yeah, was there any films that this reminded you of?
It was a redemption story.
Yeah.
And,
that's why you said Rocky at the beginning of this.
Just that feeling, you know? Anything else that stood out? The emphasis on his time spent with his father and mending that whole relationship and how strong his father was to come down to earth, and when Kamlesh asked him, hey...
Got really drunk. To get courage. I love that moment.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, you need to be like a human. He's gonna be an ordinary guy. He's not gonna be a legendary actor like you.
Setting up the pressure of him to succeed when he can never get that. That was beautiful. And he actually listened and then acted with such maturity, which is weird to say for a parent or someone in their like 50s.
Mm-hmm. He acted with understanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like people will, in that case, 99 out of 100 times just be like, maybe they're thinking they failed, but they don't know how, and they never ever change. Or they're thinking, and my son's a piece of shit, drug addict.
Yeah, and that friend from outside the family helped them realize that, you know?
Yeah, him giving up his car that he was gonna buy to take that plane trip.
I would have a hard time with that. Oof.
Yeah, but I mean, if he can be okay with Pinky...
Okay with
that I forget. There was one sexual scene, which was him more being like, "I'm so muscular." All right, let's do this. Like there's just a little skin right here, just a little, not enough to show how corpulent I am.
I don't even know what that means. Corpulent.
What'd you think of like the mystery aspect? Like how they had different views, how the mystery was unfolding, how it started with like Sanjay telling the story, and then you got his friend who thought he was a terrorist, and it just kept unfolding, and there were more pieces to the puzzle. But what did you think of that kind of mystery to the story?
It kept me interested.
Nice.
It was a long movie, you know, and it's like they went through a couple different arcs already.
It was like real life storytelling where I could tell you what happened one night, but then the other person with me is like, well, this also happened and this happened, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that.
That was really effective storytelling. Yeah.
I thought the deaths were really effective. Those are kind of like big moments.
Those are kind of lifelike because they just kind of happen.
Yeah, big like chapter markers for the story were like when a new person would start telling the story and adding more detail, or when a parent died. Because then it just felt so solid. Did you pick up on like the underlying message of the movie? Because it was subtle.
What message are you talking about right now?
What message do you think I'm talking about? So the big moral message that I took away after seeing the movie, which I really, really liked, and I thought was very subtle, was how much stuff news can get away with.
Oh, well, yeah.
By just here be saying they alleged, which is a necessity just to not get sued. They're reporting. However, in this story, they get away with everything by saying a question mark and then making shit up. Like, they're not passing on information, real information.
Right.
It's not like here where someone gets arrested and they're like, Richard Smith was arrested for allegedly stealing 5 guitars. And I thought of that because there's a guitar in the corner. After you were proven innocent, you could be like, screw you, give me money. Because now people think I stole a guitar. Whereas in this story, they don't say allegedly. They just say, Richard Smith stole guitar, question mark? 5 guitars. I'm sorry. I was very inconsistent.
Well, I mean, it's a little better here, like you're saying, but it still happens often where they just report BS. And there's so many outlets, and if it's a smaller outlet, then...
Gossip.
Yeah.
Opinion columns.
And then, you know, the celebrity or athlete who it's about, they're just not going to pay as much attention to it. But they still just spread horse crap.
But what did you think about that message in the movie?
So, I mean, yeah, that message happened. They kind of hammered on it at the end, you know?
Really?
Yeah. They laid it on thick at the end, that message.
Alright, so the reason I don't feel like it was that thick for me, at the end of the day, he said in his broadcast in the prison, I bet he didn't even realize there was a question mark. Like, it was very simple. He told her that because he was talking to her about it. But then when he did the radio broadcast, he didn't say, hey, buddy, you know, these newspapers, they really get away with a lot of shit. And this cannot stand, and we need to change it. And for this reason, he didn't go on a whole speech of what
He
needs...
did. That's what the entire radio transmission was a speech on that.
No, he was telling the story about what happened, and then at the end he and then he told it what it really was the car was for relief. And he said, but my buddy read this article, and I bet he didn't even realize there was a question mark. Right? Am I remembering?
Yeah, that's correct. But the last third of the movie was all about that. They have a dance at the end where Sanjay Dutt is on the screen and he's literally saying, yeah, screw your headlines, and they're dancing on the newspapers, okay? That's what the last third of the movie is about. Relating to that, what the movie did open up for me is if anyone just lives in that bubble of what the media presents, they're being very closed-minded.
A lot of people here.
Oh, yeah, especially. Just, oh my god, that's... most of society.
You're
Basically, one side is claiming that the media is the devil, and then the other side is defending it, and they try to ignore everything that they say about the media on the other side.
In the movie or?
No, in real life in America.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of money to be made by taking a side. That's why Fox is so pro-Trump. Because they can get all the Trump supporters to come and watch them and have all their opinions, no matter how incorrect, validated. And the same goes for the other side. There's just not as easy a example right now off the top of my head in this country. You know, there are liberal news outlets that will report correctly, but also pander. A truly bipartisan news network makes a lot less money than one with an enemy. Whenever there is a, hey, that's a bad thing, everyone can be like, yes, that is a bad thing.
And that's something that the movie keyed on, is that they want the headline to be spicy. They want it to be, that's how that media outlet gets money. Is just more views. That's all that they need is more views so that they can put more advertisements in it and have their advertisements worth more.
Basically, it was the precursor to clickbait.
Yeah. We've talked about the movie very positively. Do you have any negatives for the movie?
I actually honestly would have liked a couple scenes that just made it obvious he was a womanizer. Not obvious, but like if once in a while you saw him leaving a room with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Or flirting with one. I don't know how you would put it into the story. There was very limited time, even for 2 hours 40 minutes. You can't add like another hour to really make everything accurate. But since that was his test for the biographer, which was a great test, but it really was absent in the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Almost completely, except for Pinky.
Right.
Which was an important one to have because it was about that friendship. It showed strife. If you had to have one scene like that, that's the one you keep because it was so crucial. However, outside of that, he really just seemed like a really muscular dope with like no inhibition in that one scenario sexually.
Right.
As opposed to either a rock star kind of actor, because he was a successful actor, and Priyati, who's on WhatsApp, one of our SuperViewers, she has sent me a lot of stuff with him, and I haven't watched it because I didn't want to watch it before the review, and she understands that. I like to go in blind. But there were like songs he's done. The real guy has made songs, so there's a lot of stuff that wasn't in there. Not just the sexual. But they went and did like long, at least one really long scene about acting. And when his friend gets drunk, he's like, he will never be as great an actor as he thinks he needs to be. That was like peppered throughout, kind of. But just because it was such a big number. Like, they don't say he's been in 10,000 movies and then show you one scene where he's walking off a set. I just felt like it would have benefited a little bit to kind of solidify that moment if there were a little more in there.
Okay.
I don't want an actual Wolf of Wall Street sex montage in this movie. It would stick out like a sore thumb. And I like my thumbs nice and nimble.
That was such a dad joke. That was so... it's so late right now. I thought, all the one that he slept with was in that 5-year period. You know what I mean? But if it's 350, there's probably some just during his movie career in general.
Plus prostitutes. Plus he's talking about it in front of his wife. What's that dynamic like? When did he meet her in the story? Have they been married a long time? Did he sleep with people outside of that marriage? Was she okay with it? There was just, when he said it, she was like, yep. I knew that. We've been recording for like 50 minutes, so I wonder how long this video is going to be. But we said it in the beginning, just to recap. Thumbs up, thumbs down, star system, what did you like?
We'll stick with thumbs up.
Yeah.
It was a good thumbs up. This, for my second Indian film, it was
better than Race 3, worse than Race 3?
I feel like it had more like intrinsic qualities, like more life lessons than Race 3.
Thumbs up for me. Boom. Definitely check it out. I had a lot of fun with this. For some reason, it has 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I guarantee the negative reviews no more than we did going in.
Stupid media.
Right. Thank you, SuperViewers. As always, hit me up on WhatsApp. I'm going to add a WhatsApp group, so links are down below, because I figured out how to link to WhatsApp. Yay! Yay! I'm forgetting so many more things I usually say, but remember, don't stop. Oh my god, I'm so tired.
Subscribe to Dream Rockstars, guys!
Yay! Why is it showing up in my own screen?
Don't stop. Don't stop.